So today we're continuing the work on our Subaru here, and this will be listed on our website at carsntoys.net, of course under auto repair and in the maintenance section. Now if you remember, the last time we worked on this vehicle, the air filter was absolutely filthy, and I noted how this car was purchased as a certified pre-owned Subaru vehicle right from the dealership, and that air filter was just disgusting. So we're just going over everything. We'll do the spark plugs right now, and then after this video we'll have another one for the air cabin filter. But let's go ahead and see where the spark plugs are located. So we'll start on the left hand side of the vehicle, which is the driver's side, and the spark plugs live right here. So what I'm going to do, just so you guys have a good view here, I'm going to remove the battery. We'll have clear access to the spark plugs, and then of course we'll move over to the right hand side. Terrific access to the spark plugs. So let me just position the camera here, and first what you want to do is pull out the spark plug wire here, and sometimes it can be a little hard to remove, but there we go. So now we need a spark plug removal socket. That's this guy right here. This is a Harbor Freight 64-piece socket and ratchet set. I'll include a link in the description box below if you're curious about this set. It's a nice set to have. I actually keep this in the trunk of my car. But this is the socket that you want to have to remove the spark plugs. Also, you need an extension. In this case, I'll be using a 6-inch extension. And we'll go ahead and get the spark plug out of there. Now Subaru recommends changing these plugs every 60,000 miles, and to me these do look original. This car has 70,000 miles. I don't think these have been changed recently, so it's a good time to replace them. Of course, here's the brand new spark plug. These are pre-gapped from the factory. If you buy plugs that are not pre-gapped, you need a spark plug tool. These are pre-gapped, so we're good to go. And when it comes to purchasing spark plugs, you can really go crazy. There are so many different types out there. To me, I just get what the car came from the factory with. So these are the exact same plugs, as you can see. They're NGK, and this will do the job. Some people like to put a little bit of grease on the end of the threads. For me, if the factory doesn't state you need it, I don't put it on, but if you want to use a little bit of grease, knock yourself out. And you don't want to over tighten these spark plugs. The manual calls for around 15 to 16 foot-pounds, but we're not going to use a gauge for this, but you know, just give it a good tug. And that's good. Again, don't over tighten them, because if you strip it, then you gotta get down to the cylinder head, and that's a disaster. Okay, and also inspect the boots and the spark plug wires. These look in very good shape to me. So that's one, and now we have the other guy over here. Now the working area to remove this spark plug is very, very small. In fact, if we use the same extension that we just used on this guy, it's too tight. Now you have two options in this case. If that's the only type of extension or the length of the extension that you have, you can actually loosen up. You have three. There's one right there. There's one on top, and another one right here. This is a fuse box right here. You can actually loosen up those three nuts and very carefully move back the fuse box here. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use a small extension. This is about 2 3/4 of an inch, and then a swivel head, one of these swivel guys that's around 2 inches, and this will work. Let me just show you. So we'll put these two together like so. And let's take a look. You know, unfortunately, car makers today, just to do simple items, they make it as difficult as possible. So sometimes you have to outwit them. And there you go. And there's your old spark plug. And that's it for the driver's side, so let's go ahead and tackle the passenger side. Now for the right hand side, we have the air cleaner assembly, the air duct. All this really needs to get out of the way so we have clear access to the spark plugs. So we'll start by removing the mass airflow sensor, the harness connector here. And again, you just want to clean all this up so we have direct access to the spark plugs. So now we need to remove this airbox assembly. On the bottom there's a 10mm nut that we need to remove, and then you have a wire here for the mass airflow sensor which clips onto this case. So make sure you remove that clip before you remove the entire assembly out of the way. And there's your nut. And this is where the two spark plugs live. Now you probably don't have to remove that last part of the airbox. I just did it so you guys have a better view. And this is the return line for the power steering fluid, so that we're not going to take off. So the view is not best for you guys, but this is of course where it lives. And there we go. And then you have your last spark plug wire right here. And for this last spark plug, we do need the shorter extension with the swivel end. Again, it's just too tight to use a larger extension. All right, so here we go. I apologize, the view isn't better, but it's a little tricky to get a good shot here for you guys. But hopefully you get the idea of what you got to do here. There we go. And there it is. Now this is the hardest one to get out by far, just because you have this damn return line for the power steering in the way. But if you can get this one out, the other three are really, really easy.